Though the Alliance's victory at the Battle of Yavin did much to affirm the value of the Rebellion's starfighters, it was General Jan de Donner who noted that a simple trio of TIE fighters had almost foiled the crucial trench run. With this in mind, General de Donner turned to the famous shipwright Walex Blissex to begin work on a new dedicated interceptor for the Alliance. The result of this endeavour was one of the fastest and most lethal combat starfighters in galactic history, the RZ-1 A-Wing. Taking inspiration from designs as recent as the R-22 Spearhead and as ancient as the Old Republic's Aurek-class strike fighter, the A-Wing represented a near-perfect example of a modern interceptor, quick enough to catch any ship in the Imperial Navy at sublight, and powerful enough to threaten even its toughest starfighters. The A-Wing was 9.6 meters long and 6.48 meters wide. The ship's tiny frame was sleek and angular, with its aerodynamic shape causing the fighter to lose almost none of its agility when operating inside an atmosphere. The A-Wing's laser cannons were mounted on gimbaled pylons, each able to rotate through 60 degrees, or with some minor modifications, a full 360 degrees, allowing the fighter to fire at pursuing targets without changing course. The A-Wing's size and narrow frame made it extremely difficult for Imperial pilots to land a hit, earning them the nickname Slims. Though the A-Wing possessed numerous qualities, the fighter did suffer from several serious shortcomings. The ship's small frame allowed only for the thinnest of armor plating and an unimpressive shield generator. Should an enemy pilot be fortunate or skilled enough to defeat the A-Wing's incredible maneuverability and score even a single hit, the resulting damage would certainly disable the fighter and more than likely destroy it entirely. The A-Wing also suffered from a lack of support for astromech droids, leaving the pilot with more systems to personally monitor during combat. The A-Wing's loadout consisted of 2 Borstal RG-9 laser cannons and a pair of Dimec HM-6 concussion missile launchers. Though the missiles did provide the fighter with some limited anti-capital ability, they were mainly intended for use against other fighters, pairing well with the ship's laser cannons to afford the A-Wing an impressive amount of firepower for an interceptor. The A-Wing also carried a small electronic warfare suite, as well as an array of holographic imaging systems, tracking sensors, jammers, and targeting computers. This helped make the A-Wing into an exceptional reconnaissance ship, capable of using its hyperdrive to travel ahead of a larger battle group, monitor and record hostile positions with its advanced sensor systems, and swiftly return to base. The A-Wing's incredible speed and agility made its controls highly sensitive and difficult to master, a far cry from the simple civilian-style controls of the T-65 X-Wing. A-Wing pilots had to manually adjust the fighter's 2 stabilizers with great care, with the danger of sending the interceptor into a deadly spin-out being ever present. The ship's cockpit was extremely cramped and uncomfortable, preventing larger pilots from flying altogether. These difficulties made those pilots who ultimately mastered the A-Wing all the more impressive. Well-known A-Wing pilots like Jake Farrell, Ace Azameen, and the legendary Tycho Selchu were known to be possessing of incredible reflexes and coordination, able to use the A-Wing to its full potential and score countless victories for the Alliance. When it was first commissioned, the A-Wing represented one of the smallest fighters ever to be equipped with a hyperdrive. Though the drive was small and limited in range, it enormously expanded upon the A-Wing's utility and allowed it to continue the Alliance's trend of hyperspace-capable starfighters, one of the Rebellion's primary advantages over the Imperial Navy. Using their small hyperdrives, flights of A-Wings were frequently used to great effect in hit-and-fade operations against Imperial facilities and flotillas. While performing these raids, however, a carrier vessel would need to be placed outside of the star system in which the fighters were operating. This was due to limitations in the A-Wing's navicomputer, which only allowed it to store coordinates for 2 short hyperjumps before needing to be recalibrated at a base or carrier. The A-Wing's closest equivalent and biggest rival in the Imperial Navy was the fearsome TIE Interceptor. The TIE Interceptor was, like all Imperial craft, available in far greater numbers than the A-Wing, and also benefited from additional laser cannons and superior maneuverability, giving the TIE a serious edge in a dogfight. Conversely, the TIE's lack of shields made the A-Wing's concussion missiles into a very serious threat, and the A-Wing was capable of achieving slightly faster speeds in a straight line, allowing the fighter to withdraw from close quarters and re-engage in a better position without difficulty. The A-Wing opened up several tactical options for the Rebel Alliance which had previously been out of reach, and led to the development of several new and innovative maneuvers. Perhaps the most famous of these maneuvers was the A-Wing Slash. Invented by Alliance founder General Garm Bel Iblis, The A-Wing Slash was a tactical play intended for use against Imperial supply convoys. The maneuver involved a group of larger starfighters, traditionally T-65 X-Wings, approaching an Imperial convoy whilst using the slipstream created by their drive exhausts to hide the heat signatures of the much smaller A-Wings. The fighters would then pull away, diverting the Imperials' attention for the split second necessary for the speeding A-Wings to descend on the convoy. With the larger Imperial ships now oriented away to counter an apparent flanking move by the X-Wings, they would be left totally exposed to the A-Wings' firing arcs and be torn to pieces by their concussion missiles. Shortly after the Battle of Endor, the original A-Wing design began to be slowly phased out in favour of the A-Wing Mark II. Where the original A-Wing had been constructed on an individual basis by the Rebel Alliance, the Mark II was mass-produced by the Incom Corporation, allowing them to be widely used by the New Republic. The A-Wing's value as a high-speed interceptor was obvious to the New Republic, but the ship's major defensive and navigational shortcomings were equally apparent. This led to the development of the E-Wing and the T-65 AC-4 X-Wing. Fighters intended to be capable of comparable speeds to the A-Wing, whilst carrying heavier shields, armour and weaponry. Even with the introduction of newer starfighters like the E-Wing, the A-Wing's renowned design allowed the ship to continue serving through the Yuuzhan Vong War and beyond. Whether in service to the Rebel Alliance, New Republic, Zan Consortium, or even fledgling pirate gangs, the A-Wing has always proved its worth, and more than earned its reputation as one of the finest interceptors in military history. Thank you for watching Spacedock. Please remember to like, subscribe and share for more science fiction spacecraft summaries. And if there's a particular spacecraft you'd like to see looked at, let me know in the comments below and I'll get right on it.